In the modern euphemistic world, where we can't actually say what we precisely mean because it might offend someone.
Let's do tribute.
I think we should call it cold tickling. Welcome, one and all. Willkommen, bienvenue to another live stream with myself, Gareth Wax of the Many Purple Hats, and of course, David Chernick, talking about modern sales. And today's topic is one that I used to talk a lot about in a previous incarnation when I used to run and manage a telemarketing agency, which is the gentle art of wedging open the doorway to a new company using the electric telephone.
It's cold calling.
It's cold calling. It's cold calling.
It's cold calling, all right? I mean, you don't have to use the word, but that's what it is.
People are scared of they're scared of doing it, but they're even more scared of the phrase, I think.
They're scared of the phrase. They don't want to be that salesperson.
No. Oh, you're cold calling me.
No, it's too sales. Too salesy. Too salesy. It's a bit like, occasionally when I get those direct messages into my inbox, particularly on LinkedIn.
I get them on a daily basis.
I
know exactly what you mean.
say, please don't spam me. And they go, it's not spam. It's unsolicited. And you've sent it out in volume, including to me.
So do you know what I've taken to doing? I'll tell you what I've taken to doing. I respond to some of them. The ones that I don't know, I take a fancy to, but they're much of a much. I respond to them going, I'm wondering whether or not you're getting a better than 1% response rate from this. And of those 1% response rate, is it a response telling you to go and sling your hook? And if that's the case, maybe you'd be better off using an organization that can help you do that more effectively. I've had 2 clients out of that so far.
Okay, yeah, it's good. It's good. I know that people do use spam in order. It's people like people also get business out of flyers that come through the letterbox.
Yeah, but
I see that you want some business.
Yeah, but hang on. Do you know what I think that this is David's favorite Zoom. There you go. I think that's down to the fact that winding back, if you remember to your youth, when we had a flood of unnecessary shite that would come through the front door, and you could almost put the waste paper bin underneath it and pick out from the waste paper bin the one or two that would be relevant. Now it's barely occasional. I get 1 or 2 letters a week, maybe, if that.
Often they very kindly and helpfully sort of bundle them all together, so you can just have one trip to the round.
I think that's very kind of them to put all the shit in one helpful envelope. But the point about it is that if you are now sending stuff by post, you can stick out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And good emails stick out, and good direct messages stick out, and good phone calls stick out. Now, it is cold calling, though.
Let's make no bounds about it. If they don't know of you beforehand, if they have no idea what you're going to be talking about, that is as cold as a cold fish.
Yeah, there you go. So we try and we have to get over that. I think the idea of spamming somebody, that's in volume, right? But cold calling doesn't necessarily mean in volume. Right, so it is still, not asked for, but it is not in volume. So there is a difference there. It's a little bit like the difference between pyramid selling and multi-level marketing.
Yeah, well, there's a dramatic difference between the two, but most people conflate the two together, and the same goes between tepid calling, where they've heard of you, and cold calling. Often people conflate the two together, whereas tepid or even warm calling is far more effective than cold calling.
Yeah. So by that, I think what we mean is that, as part of an overall lead generation or marketing strategy, phoning up strangers can be a useful part of the mix. Yeah. But if you are relying on that as your main go-to route to market, then we really are then talking about volume calls, because you would have to make a lot
And unfortunately, if you're going to, and this is your experience, to do that, to make a lot, you need a person who does it, who is both bulletproof, because they can cope with
rejection
scenarios of outrageous fortune and rejection in all its forms. 2, they need to be intelligent enough to be quick-witted and be able to pivot during mid-conversation. Yeah. And 3, they need to be kind and considerate and loving.
So the idea is and what you're describing there is not what most people think of as a sort of a cold calling sales desk.
Exactly.
It's something very different. It's sort of quite high level people making extremely targeted, purposeful calls to people that whilst they're not expecting your call, you do have a very good reason for doing it. You would have done a considerable amount of desk research. This is something where you need a proper system. I don't necessarily mean a computer system, although that helps a lot. But you need a proper system for you to do it. The person that you're phoning needs to be able to hear pretty quickly why it is that you have called them especially. And you can't fake this stuff. You can't say, absolutely. I'm especially calling you when you're calling 1,000. Yeah, you can't use, sort of AI to generate a script for you based on stuff that it's managed to dig up about them.
Right.
Human beings are sensitive. We're particularly wary these days after generations of cold calling and spam and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so, if I phone someone up, I've got a very good reason for phoning them. And I want them specifically. And I might only be doing it to a handful of people relative to the old days. But I would be doing it as part of a mix of other targeted marketing. And perhaps even some broadcast marketing if you're really interested in developing your brand awareness, if you're that scale of business, or if your product has got that broad appeal. But yeah, the first thing that anybody's going to be doing if they pick up an email, like a spam email, and they are interested in replying to it, they're going to be looking at your website. Yeah, they're going to be looking for any triggers they might have missed on social media or in the conversations they're going to be looking for at least some familiarity with, if not the name of your business, perhaps the words that you use to describe your offering. So it is cold, but as you said, it's not cold, icy cold, and it's not going to be in volume. So I want people to try and put that idea out their heads. Since inbound marketing was invented and made famous by the likes of HubSpot, we've got used to wanting to see some content, valuable content. And again, we're seeing people trying to fake that as well. And then it just does not work. Yeah. I've often said, and I get in trouble for saying it, but marketing people ruin everything for everyone.
We do. We do.
You start off with, a personalized letter to somebody. I don't know if you're old enough, anybody, to remember those days when you get a personalized letter addressed to you and go, "Whoa, that's nice. Somebody's written me a letter." You open it up. "Oh, it's about my roof. Gosh, I wonder, you go outside, what's going on with my roof?" Yeah, but marketing people cottoned onto this and they started shoving loads of letters your way, flyers and all of that kind of gubbins. The same happened with the telephone. You'd get a call from somebody out of the blue. And, "Oh, hello, I was just sort of passing your house. I managed to get hold of your telephone number. And it seems that your windows are rotting." Yeah. Or in the business world, and it happened around about the same sort of time that people started selling photocopiers. Thanks, Xerox. Oh, hello. Have you heard of the latest in being able to reproduce your documents in volume so you can? "Oh, yes, tell me more." "Yes, but it's Xerox here, and I'd like to pop by, shake your hand, and show you a demo of this photocopier." But then the marketers cottoned on. The phone's just going, "Right, let's get the secretary to screen that shit out." The same happened with email. I don't know if you remember the first time you had proper work email. And you'd get an email.
It was exciting, and I had almost no emails. And then a marketing agency found me, and it started.
It started, man. So, so this is what's happened with calls. But in each one of those instances, it's a little bit like the Gartner Group hype curve, that everybody goes full onto that stuff. And of course, it comes crashing down. There's that cycle of disillusionment, the drop of disillusionment, or whatever they call it.
Right.
And then eventually it picks up to, perhaps a more bearable level. But there's still a lot of differentiation between what is a quality flyer, email, direct message, or phone call, and one that is just a mass-produced pile of junk. Yeah, so you don't want to be hiring banks of juniors to make your cold calls.
I think, I mean, look, it makes sense if you're calling up people, as David said, very targeted, but after a specific event, for instance. So, for instance, here's the classic kind of cold calling where it kind of makes more sense. They've all attended and thrown their card in the jar at an event, and you phone them all up and saying, "Thank you for attending the event. It was really great to meet you. You probably don't remember me. I was the one standing at the back, whatever." Right. But what I would very much like to do is talk to you about what you saw on the stand, which was our latest Okie Kokie 2000, and how it has changed other businesses just like yours. I mean, that makes more sense there, because you're hooking them in with something that they can immediately latch on. The fact that they attended the thing, yes, they were there, and they did show an interest, and they did put their card in. But if you just picked all these people up from, and I'm showing my age now, the yellow pages, or something like that, and then try and phone them through based on that number, where you're just working one to the next, even if they are all carpenters and you're selling a newfangled kind of lathe, it doesn't matter. They won't know of you from Adam.
Yeah. So poor yellow pages, eh? Poor yellow page. They could have been something. I mean, just like Blockbuster video could have been something, or the milk floats could have been something.
Let me tell you something. I'm going to do a small
tangent. I'm going to do one of your Gareth Wax tangents.
Another Gareth Wax tangent. The headline is Blockbuster is not dead. There's literally a double wide shop in Haverhill, which is a town nearest to me, which literally still rents out videos on DVD.
Okay. Other than your Haverhill outlets, no, Blockbuster is dead. Anyway, coming back to the topic, the cold calls. So these are cold calls. Call them what you want, but they're cold calls, and they need to be really targeted. And it's not going to be a junior phoning them up to do it, who doesn't know what they're doing. I mean, it could be a junior, but they're going to have to be properly trained on how to do this stuff. I mean, I sort of, I suppose, credit myself with, and I have a bit of a reputation for being able to open any door. Yeah, I'll put it out there. In fact, somebody the other day who's got a very ambitious project in the music industry,
right,
sent me 3 names that he really would want as his investors. He knows exactly why they would be up for it. There's a really good match. They're difficult people to get hold of, and he wants me to see if I can help him get hold of them. Right. So there are skills to be able to do this. There's a whole set of competencies. Skills is one, system is another, process, all those sorts of things, strategy, communication, lingo. There's follow up. It takes typically, I don't know what your experience is, Gareth, but I would say it takes typically 6 attempts to be able to get hold of somebody.
As of the last time I ran the agency properly, which was about 1.5 years ago, 8 to 10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm good though. I'm sure you were great.
It's irrelevant to whether you're good if they're not there.
We're talking about a half a dozen or 8 to 10 touches. So that could be a phone call. It could be a direct message. It could be a few different things, but 8 to 10 of them is what you're saying. So this, if you were to do that at volume and look at that as your main lead generation tactic, you can see then that you would be making a lot of calls.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But if you have, a handful of people that are just right for you, and you really want to get hold of them, then it's not going to be a huge number of calls in total. But you are going to have to do your press ups, put in the groundwork, do the grind, get hold of those people, right? And it's not going to be some chump who you hire in at minimum wage or half wage if you're outsourcing it to another country, to do it for you. It's going to be you who does it, or somebody who's highly trained by you to do it, or somebody you have hired. They specifically know exactly how to do it. I mean, I had a client left me last year, and they had managed to hire at low cost 2 or 3 people to do this for them. 2 or 3 very experienced cold callers, highly educated. They, as was reported to me after the event, they between them made thousands of calls.
Yeah.
They were properly phone bashing. They had almost zero success. And they were armed with a good script.
But can you identify where they fell down, for instance, in that respect? They
were doing it like spam. They were doing it in a very untargeted way, without very specific research on each person.
So blunderbuss style. So scattergun.
Scattergun. Well, yeah, I mean, they bought a list. They bought a targeted list. I mean, we should just remind everybody who's watching this that any list that you can lawfully buy is by default made up of those people who either accidentally ticked the box to say that they were happy to get us a cold call because maybe there was too many double negatives in the question. Do you consent to not being on the list?
Not being on the list.
Not, and you're like, what? I'm ticking the box because I want the calls, and they get the calls. Either them, or it's people who, for some reason want to get spammed and overridden with cold calls, and neither of those are going to be wanting to, become your client.
It's rare that a list that you buy has any more than 40% of usable data on it straight off. And when I say usable, they're not dead. They haven't gone away. They haven't changed their name by deed poll, or they haven't changed position and are replaced by someone who is not even part of the same business unit you thought they were.
People.
Yes, most of data. I mean, even from most reputable of sources. I'm not going to mention any names, but they even from the most reputable of sources, most data is absolute rubbish, and you don't know which part of it is rubbish. You have to call through it all to find out. And the amount of time you waste on absolute rubbish. So targeting is everything. Targeting is everything.
So we target. We know exactly what we're going to say to them. We prepare what we're going to say to them. We practice what we're going to say to them. What we say to them has to chime with what then we send to them. We need to be able to actually, have consent to use their email, or guess it, or it has to be public domain. Same with telephone numbers. There's no sort of buying, unlawful data or anything like that. So, that's I think the sort of the key message for this. It is cold calling. Don't do it in volume. To pick your battles, pick the ones you really, really want.
And research first.
Research your desk research. Find out about them. Do they fit into your persona? Are they perfect for you? Yeah. And once you've done that, and perhaps you've done even some more background research, so you know what their current business state is like at the moment, especially if you can find out what's been going on in their world. What deals they might have won recently, or changes in personnel there, or connections that you might share as mutuals, anything like that, asking for referrals and backing that up with a phone call, making sure you've got your content sorted. So if they do look you up after receiving one of your emails on your blog or on your social, there's something there that is written for them.
Okay, well, I think I need to wrap it up for today, but thank you so much, David. But guys, it can be effective. Follow the rules that David's already laid down, and you'll have more of a chance of success. Remember, don't think it's going to be, if you've got 30 leads that all 30 of them will convert. That's not the way it works. You're going to need larger numbers than that. But by the same token, focus, research, targeting is everything. And don't put numpties on the call. You can burn useful connections faster than you can say yikes. So try and avoid doing that.
Can I just have one little point here?
You'll have to hurry up, but go on then.
And just sort of a general point, I noticed, I don't usually look and we don't usually talk about it much, but I noticed that there are hundreds of people that watch this show.
Yes.
And, you know, if any of you, and you could do it secretly or you could be open about it, want us to cover any particular topic, then we will gladly do that. Of course, follow us on LinkedIn, follow us on Facebook, Gareth, Many Purple Hats, David from Chernick at Treacle, or look us up, treacle.com, and we'll answer any of your questions.
Until next time, I wish you all happy sales, happy calling, and of course, great mental health. It's going to work eventually. There you go.